I guess you could just do that, but that's ridiculous because they would agree at, the first 3 or 4 things that had happened. Yes, they was spinning around in the middle of the road. They was chasing a robbery. Yes, they said to get out of the way. They probably won't say that they said the F word, even though they did. They shouted to get out of the way. They're spinning around in the middle of the car, and then they jump out. They said I made a threatening gesture, so I'm not sure about that. They said get the fuck out of the road, and like fuck you. I mean, I don't know if that's threatening or not, but fuck you. Like seriously, like you're gonna hit me, try to run me over, and then say get the fuck out of the road. And if they were on a robbery, how could I know that? There's no sirens, plain white car, just a guy with a baseball cap and a flannel. How would I know that? How would I know? And actually, I don't know. Somebody did ask that question one time before. How would you even know if if anybody's undercover? Anybody can just go around flashing a badge saying they're the police. I saw this one video where the people were dressed up as FBI agents breaking into a house. Well, I mean, what are you supposed to do when that happens? They're dressed up like FBI agents and they look like them, and if they say that they are, let me see your badge, let me talk to your sergeant, let me, ask you a million questions just so I can verify. I don't think they would let you do that. I think it's just be like, oh no, I am, and just believe me. I've heard actually Mitt Romney says he likes to wear police officer uniforms and chase people down and scare them. So how do you know if a Mitt Romney isn't chasing you that he's not really a police officer? That's why they say for women, if they get pulled over, to get into a lighted area, you don't have to stop right there in the middle of nowhere. You can get to a lighted area. So the defendant is not required to prove his or her innocence or to prevent any evidence, but has the right to challenge the accuracy of the prosecutor's evidence and to cross-examine witnesses. Both the defendant and the prosecutor represent the people of the Commonwealth of Kentucky, have the right to a trial by a jury. Sometimes both sides agree to let a judge hear the evidence and decide the case without a jury. It's called a bench trial. In a jury trial, I'm not going to do a bench trial, I'll do a jury trial. In a jury trial, the jury is the trier of fact. In a bench trial, the judge is the trier of fact. After the evidence is presented, the judge or jury will determine whether the evidence proved that the defendant committed the crime. There's a general outline of the steps of a jury trial. I don't know, there's like 14 of them, but I think it's useful to know. So first, the residents of Jefferson County are randomly selected from a list of licensed drivers and registered voters. So all licensed drivers and registered voters randomly selected, and then they're summoned to the court as potential jurors. A blind draw selects 30 or more people from that group for questioning relevant to the specific case. The judge, prosecutor, and defense attorney question the jurors about their backgrounds and beliefs. The attorneys are permitted a limited number of peremptory challenges to various jurors for an unlimited number of challenges for good cause. Or an unlimited number of challenges. So for good cause, you have an unlimited number of challenges, but only a limited number of peremptory challenges, whatever a peremptory challenge is. After 12 for felonies or 6 for misdemeanors, acceptable juries remain. So there'll be 12 jurors for a felony, 6 for a misdemeanor. The judge administers an oath to the jury and reads basic instructions about the trial process. The court may include alternate jurors if the trial is expected to be of some substantial duration. This begins the guilt phase of a trial. The sentence phase is the next. The guilt phase is to determine whether or not the person is guilty. The prosecutor gives an opening statement to outline his case and evidence to the jury. The defense may give a similar opening statement or wait until later in the trial. The prosecutor calls his witnesses and the defense may cross-examine the witnesses. The Commonwealth closes its proofs. The defense may call witnesses if it wants, and the prosecutor may cross-examine them. Then the defense rests. The prosecutor may present rebuttal witnesses or evidence to challenge evidence presented by the defendant during his proofs. The prosecutor rests. The judge gives the jury detailed legal instructions about the charged crimes and deliberation process. Defense attorney presents a closing argument to the juror, and the prosecutor presents a closing argument to the jury. Then the jury deliberates and returns a verdict. So the prosecutor is the last person to give the closing argument. The defendant comes up, and then the prosecutor. The prosecution also rests the whole trial, and then it's the closing arguments. So the prosecution says, okay, I don't have any more witnesses or any more things. So basically the defense has 2 chances. One chance to get their evidence and say what they got, and a closing argument. And then there's the appeals process. and there's interlocutory appeal, the appeal of right, and appeal by leave of the court. So 3 different types of appeals. And there's a ton of courts. There's criminal prosecution, Jefferson District Court, warrant court, which is domestic disputes, neighborhood disputes, thefts, minor assaults, domestic violence, bad checks, zoning and ordinance violations, felony misdemeanor court, shoplifting, drug possession, burglary, robbery, assault, domestic violence, sexual assault, gun crimes. Sometimes they go to a rocket docket, project backfire, driving under the influence court, truancy prosecution, unified juvenile prosecution unit, domestic violence intake center, domestic violence victims advocates, domestic violence detectives. 2 detectives assist with the investigation and preparation of domestic violence prosecutions. So that's the charges that I'm putting on them, that they're putting on me, the process of the court system. It's a pretty decent overview. I mean, I guess to recap, the probable cause hearing is the next step, and then it goes on to the grand jury hearing after that, and then it goes to a jury trial after that. A public jury trial, right? The final public jury trial. So the probable cause hearing, the judge can either bounce it down to a misdemeanor, try it in his court, and see if there's any guilt, and then dispose of it that way. He could not make a determinant, push it on to the grand jury. The grand jury, I would lose my right to testify unless the grand jury asked for me to testify, but I would get the benefit of it being private, so it'd be secluded. Everybody would be locked out of it. So I mean that I don't know if that's good or bad, but it does kind of put it all on the table. Here's what's going on. So let's see if we can figure this out. So I think they probably would just want to do that anyway, since the media will probably be there in room 204 during the probable cause hearing. But they might try to find something out then. I mean, if he bounces it down to a misdemeanor, then they would be trying it right then and there. But all indications seems like it's going to go to a grand jury. But I can give it my best shot. I can give it my best shot at the. I'm willing to testify. I'm willing to say what I need. I'm willing to testify. So I'm saying my spiel. Say the truth. Start out walking on 4th Street, intersection of 4th and M Street. It was dark and rainy. It was a Friday night around 6 p.m. December 7th, 2012. I'm like, hey, I'll be back 5 minutes. I told my girlfriend. And I didn't come back that night. So, I'm willing to testify at the probable cause hearing, which is good to know. I'm willing to testify at the probable cause hearing. I can testify, we can testify on our own behalf. We could cross-examine their witnesses. So basically it's a full-blown bench trial. They got witnesses, they say here's what's going on, we get our witnesses and evidence. So I need my shit in order. I need witnesses and evidence. And then it goes to the grand jury trial, and then that's basically the same thing, but it's behind closed doors. So I think it's going to be more investigative, more figuring out exactly what this is if they don't ask any questions at the probable cause hearing. Then if the grand jury trial determines that there is enough for an indictment, then I get indicted, and that possibly could mean that they arrest me right then and there and put me behind bars. Hopefully they would object to something like that and say that I have not been a risk. I have been. I've gone through every hearing. I've always honored any court appearance that I've ever had to go to, and there's no risk of me taking off. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to see the criminal justice system. It's the American criminal justice system. I can present my side, they present their side, and then there's an issuer of fact to find out what happens after it's all said and done. So, it seems pretty fair, right? So, and I got 3 shots. I got 3 chances. I got the probable cause hearing. I got the grand jury, and then I got the jury trial. So I got 3 chances to work on this. The first one also, the probable cause hearing, it's public, so that means I can invite people to come there and have their own cameras and their own You know, I can have my own personal media with me. Before, when that camera was staring at me, I had a CD that I wanted to give to him, but I didn't want to do it in front of court, like as if like I had called that guy in there. They had called me to want to get the case or whatever. They like titillating stories. But when I kind of motioned for him to do it, he just took off. He just ran. So there was like, I did this. You know, they could have cut that part when I did that to the camera, which I had motioned for him saying, hey, I want to talk to you afterwards. But he just took off. So the cameraman's a creep. He's a real creep. He comes in the back door. He just puts the camera right in your face, like a total dickhead. So the media can be used for you or against you. But they could always do a hit job. They could always cut things out of place too. So I don't know. Just in general, I think a video camera is what protects us, the people. It doesn't totally protect us from everything, because the video can be destroyed. They can take the video, they can destroy it, and if you do videotape some crime, you have to get it in a safe place, and then the people have to see it, right? So yeah.